The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream.
Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Along a white picket fence in St. Paul, Minnesota today, a crowd gathers to send off Governor Tim Walz after getting the call from presidential nominee Kamala Harris to join the Democratic ticket.
Listen, I want you to do this with me.
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
The duo is up against the Republican ticket of former President Donald Trump and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, who went after his newly named counterpart at a Philadelphia rally today.
Tim Walz's record is a joke. He's been one of the most far-left radicals in the entire United States government at any level. The reason I didn't say a whole lot about Tim Walz is because the Democrats have showed a willingness to pull a little switcheroo on us. So I don't even know if we're actually going to get Tim Walz out of this campaign.
Walz, a 60-year-old father of two, is currently in his second term as Minnesota governor, with a 54% state approval rating in a July Morning Consult survey and a reputation for a relatable, some say folksy approach.
I think we're going to go do the slingshot.
Which I don't know what it is, and they're keeping it from me.
And though he's racked up a substantial political record over nearly 2 decades in public office, Walz hasn't been very well known outside his home state.
Good job, Dad.
Oh, thanks, so.
In 2020, that began to change.
Generations of pain is manifesting itself in front of the world, and the world is watching.
After a police officer murdered George Floyd in Minneapolis, Walz condemned the killing and days later, after some protests turned violent, called in the National Guard to respond to rioters.
Everything that we believe in, these people are trying to destroy. So if you are on the streets tonight, it is very clear. You are not with us, you do not share our values, and we will use the full strength of goodness and righteousness to make sure that this ends.
The right criticized his response as slow, and Walz himself later acknowledged the, quote, abject failure of that response. In 2023, after his party won control of the Minnesota House and Senate, Walz signed into law a laundry list of Democratic priorities, providing free meals to K-12 students, the largest child tax credit in the country, enshrining abortion rights into state law, increasing LGBTQ protections, legalizing marijuana, and granting voting rights to ex-offenders.
That bastard. What'd you think of him? Did you see him last night? Did you watch that? He's amazing. You know, he had told Kamala that he didn't like using a teleprompter. They put him on a teleprompter last night, and he did fine. He did fine. I mean, it's an acquired, taste. Like, I don't have one, but if you were, normally on the TV, if you're normally watching somebody on the TV, their script is in a teleprompter, and they're reading it to you, trying to sound natural. We don't have that here, but I understand why he doesn't like it. It does take your creativity and throws it out the window because you become reliant on it. It's almost like, a crutch, if you will, if you must, if you may, to have one. And so he got through most of his, speechifying last night. Did a great job of it. I mean, it was very natural. It was obviously his way of speaking, but then it sort of froze up there for a brief moment, and you could see he was hanging there in the breeze on the, it was a C word that didn't come up on the screen, and he just ad-libbed. He said, she's such a... Now, you know what J.D. Vance would have said for a C word. Yeah, but he said compassionate is what he, ad-libbed. So just a little lesson in relying on a teleprompter. It doesn't always work. And that is why so many people make a big deal out of politicians who use teleprompters. And yet they all do. They all do. Donald Trump, he actually does. He uses a teleprompter all the time. And when he gets off the teleprompter, that's when you can see what a majority of Americans now believe. He's just too damn mental. He's too old. He can't remember what he's talking about. He goes off on weird tangents and never comes back. Bye-bye. But that was a great rally last night. And I tell you, here comes the monkey poop, right? This is them. This is what they do. They're going to throw all kinds of poop from their own cage, out of the cage, at Mr. Walz, at Coach Walz, at Governor Walz, at House of Representatives Congressman Walz, at, Sergeant Walz. Those are all legitimate titles that he is entitled to be called by because he's earned every last one of them. So now they're throwing all this stuff to see what sticks, In the meantime, they're not agreeing to debate. Isn't that fascinating? Donald Trump has not agreed to debate Kamala. Okay, he canceled the ABC debate. Now, I just want you to remember that Donald Trump hasn't shown up for any debates this cycle. You remember we had, 4,892 different Republican candidates for the nomination, right? Didn't we? Didn't we have about 4,980 or 4,982? Something like that? Like, there was a lot. And he wouldn't debate any of them. He didn't show up for any of the debates. I remember being so disappointed. And, so we watched for, the fun of Chris Christie, which is, pretty much all you could eke out, right? A little fun with Chris Christie, mocking the Trump, and maybe a little Nikki Haley, on the side. So that was it. That's all we got for fun out of the debates because Donald Trump refused to debate any Republican at all, at any time, during the entire Republican primary. Now we're in the presidential, and he's refusing to debate the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party. He doesn't want to show up for that. He's, on Fox News calling in. He's been on, that he was just going on, and you could see them on Fox and Friends. You can see that they're like, she especially, Ainsley, whatever, Airhead. She's like, I got dressed for this. I put on makeup for this. To sit there and listen to the rantings of a nasty old man. Really? Is he ever going to come up with new material? You could just see them, oh my God, do we really have to take his call? We liked it better when Fox ignored him. When Rupert said, okay, we're not for him anymore, right? Remember that? Those were the good old days, like a couple months ago. But Walz, obviously, is supposed to debate JD. And now JD is saying, no. I mean, because they can pull the old switcheroo. What? This is what they're saying because we have a president currently of the United States, by the way, who is such a magnificent human being, a patriot of the highest order, that he literally put his desire to run again for his second term, which if you just go by results, he was totally entitled to do. He has a great freaking record. The Infrastructure Act, the Chips and Science Act, the COVID Recovery Act, the Child Tax Credit, right? All of these amazing things that he was able to shepherd through a divided Congress. I mean, just an incredible result from a man who obviously is 81 years old. And even though his record is spectacular, crime is down. Border crossings are the lowest they've been. Oh, yeah, in 3 years. In 3 years, they can't even do that thing anymore, and they tried desperately. But Biden wanted a fulsome response to a border crisis. He wanted a binding piece of legislation, a piece of legislation that would have withstood any challenge to it, right? And the Republicans were ready to do it. They were there. They were meeting us halfway on this. Couldn't give the DACA kids any, path to citizenship. Couldn't talk about citizenship in this bill. It was strictly a border security bill. And Donald Trump dialed up his friends and, his wannabes, never will be's in the Senate and said, no, I need the issue. Do not pass this. Do not. I need the border issue. I need the racism of it. I need to say that there's a new category of crime, immigrant crime, even though there isn't. I need to say that and make people believe that because it's all I got. I got nothing else. And if I don't have that and I have nothing else, I'm going to go to jail. I need this job. I need to be president to stay out of prison. And yet they won't debate each other. No, neither of them. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.